why you shouldn't put yourself in a box. So I see a lot of people doing this, especially in the different bodybuilding kind of workout gym bro communities, is you just kind of group yourself in with one style of training. Then this just reinforces that you're only going to train this way. For instance, I'm a bodybuilder, so I'm only going to train 8 to 12 rep range, or I'm only a power lifter, I'm only going to do heavy sets of 5. And this mentality just leads people to really miss out on a lot of gains from some of the other sections of training. In reality, like for most things, a more holistic approach is usually best. At least that's what I've found for myself. I started off doing all sorts of different types of training, mainly like bodybuilding when I got into it in the gym, maybe around like 2019, like around COVID. One of my friends introduced me, and a couple of us just went, started working out. But then everything happened, around 2019, 2020. So all the gyms were closed down. Then I ended up getting into calisthenics and doing a lot of bodyweight movements, a lot of pull-ups, dips, and like other stuff like this. And I saw a lot of muscle growth for training both styles. And then later on, I got into powerlifting, trying more, heavy 1 rep max type of training, trying to get as strong as possible, as fast as possible. And I honestly believe this is one of the things that has helped me the most to progress my physique as much as possible, make my lifts hit the multipliers I've been aiming for over the years, and just keep hitting my goals in the gym. And for anything else in life too, not just working out, but think about for anything you consume. Like, I only watch TV shows instead of movies. Well, there are probably a lot of good movies out there that you'd enjoy if you found, or vice versa, right? Maybe that's not the best example, but what I'm trying to make is you just become a better, like, well-rounded individual for whatever it is, right? Like, if you like TV shows and movies, or just TV shows or just movies, you're gonna be well-rounded and know more about, all of it if you were to do both. Just like for working out, if you're doing just powerlifting style, like just trying to lift heavy and get stronger, or doing just bodybuilding style where you're just going in like a higher rep range, trying to put on more like sarcoplasmic, like tissue, more muscle mass, right? You're gonna miss out on the benefits of the other. If you're just doing the bodybuilding and just trying to get as much muscle mass, you're gonna hit a plateau because your strength is not gonna be high enough unless you're using other substances to kind of help like boost this, right? Then you're gonna run to that wall where you're just doing the same weight over and over again for the same amount of reps and wondering why nothing's happening, why you're not growing. Like, well, it's because you're not getting stronger, right? You gotta progressively overload, increase the amount of muscle breakdown to increase your threshold for how big you can get. And then on the other side, if you're only doing powerlifting and you're only trying to go as heavy as possible, you're gonna inevitably get injured or hit some barrier that you can't go past because you just physically need more mass on you to be able to train the muscle fibers to get stronger individually. So it's like everything works in a balance in a way how you need both sides to be able to progress the fastest for either one, right? And I do understand kind of like the saying, the niches are in the riches, or like, jack of all trades is a master of none. There is something to be said there to, just really niching down, picking one thing to get really good at. I'm not saying to just completely disregard this. If your goal is to become the best at one of these things, I want to be the best bodybuilder, or I want to be the best powerlifter, or I want to be like the best business owner for this niche, for plumbers, whatever the case, right? But for any of these goals, you're probably going to need to do some of the other things, progress, right? Instead of just putting yourself in the box of like, I'm just this type of thing, right? Like we limit ourselves and don't test out other domains that have a lot of benefits to be reaped as well for whatever your main purpose is or your main goal. And it's a shame because you could be making a lot faster progress, a lot more optimal, and closer to where you want to be by incorporating other methods that you may like look down on, or just haven't really thought about it, or haven't given a chance, got around to it yet. So this is just a reminder that if there's been something like that you've been kind of thinking about that might be able to add some value to your main thing, it's worth testing it out. And this is more than just like bodybuilding or powerlifting. I'm talking like, have you tried to train like an athlete? Have you tried to increase your vertical jump? Have you tried to increase your grip strength? Have you tried like, just different types of sports like this will really challenge you. I went rock climbing for the first time maybe like 2 years ago in recent memory, and even though you're very strong in the gym, it's just a completely different type of muscle you need, for your hands and fingers to be able to do all this, be able to climb these incredibly hard routes where you're just like pinching onto the different fixtures there. Or if you ever tried to dunk in basketball, you need to have quite a high vertical, right? Probably like 35 to like 35 plus inch jump to be able, or 35 plus inch vertical to be able to do this for most people. You might be saying, Patrick, I get it. Like, I can train jumping higher, but how does this help with my goals? I want to look better, get in better shape, feel more confident. How does this help with that? Well, because a lot of the things you need to do to get better at those other subsets that are kind of outside of the box, not necessarily in like the bodybuilding, powerlifting, or like whatever the boxes that you're putting yourself in mentally, they have carryover benefits that carry over to the main thing, right? Like weighted dips or weighted pull-ups. These are some of the best exercises that you can do in the gym, progressively overload your back or your chest, triceps, biceps, and just get like crazy gains from this. And 80% of you guys probably have never tried them because a lot of people have this preconceived notion that, oh, well, that's calisthenics. I don't do calisthenics. I just do like powerlifting, or I just do bodybuilding. When in reality, a holistic approach of understanding that these transfer over very, very well to your main powerlifting movements or to your bodybuilding multiplier goals. So it's very important to be able to have a more holistic approach, adding in these different kind of niches within whatever you're doing. The best example I can think of right now is MMA and how it developed. This is mixed martial arts, right? Many different fighting styles put together to basically create the ultimate fighting style. So I don't know if this is the exact history, but there were like the one fighting tournaments, and UFC became a thing, right? Where they would just take all sorts of people with all sorts of different fighting styles, from wrestling, kickboxing, taekwondo, karate, Muay Thai, judo, sambo, and just like put them against each other, right? Like sumo, just see who would win. So you get like these crazy matchups of like some massive sumo wrestler versus like a jiu-jitsu practitioner. Then people are like, okay, which is the best, right? So what better way to put all these different styles against each other than to see who's gonna win, right? So it went back and forth for a little bit, but then eventually like jiu-jitsu came on top for a while, being able to be the best or like very dominant in these tournaments. But then this transitioned into the next generation of martial arts, right? Or MMA as we know it today, which is a mix of boxing, kickboxing, wrestling, and jiu-jitsu. So just combine them all into a holistic approach, just like I'm talking about here. If you just did jiu-jitsu, then you'd be vulnerable in the striking realm on the feet. And if you just did striking, you'd be vulnerable on the ground, right? Or in the wrestling. Because the whole goal of MMA, if you think about it, is just to take away the domain that your opponent is best in. If your opponent is best at wrestling, I'm not going to wrestle with them. If they're best at kickboxing or boxing, I'm not going to strike with them. You're going to try to take them down. This is why it kind of turned into this massive different styles and different, niches within the fighting realm that now creates like the ultimate fighters we know it today, right? And now this may be controversial. Some of you guys may disagree that, oh, like a boxer, like a street fighter, like all these people would beat an MMA athlete, which I just don't believe. If you know fighting, you know that an MMA fighter in an MMA match is going to beat any of these other guys. But same thing can be said, like counter arguments. If it's jiu-jitsu against an MMA guy, the jiu-jitsu guy's probably going to win, or boxing against an MMA guy in a boxing match or a jiu-jitsu match, like they're going to win in their domain, of course. But in like a no holds barred, my money would be on the MMA guy, because they just have a holistic approach of all of the different techniques mixed into, like the most effective way to train it, right? So just how you train MMA to become a complete fighter, I think more people need to use that same logic, that same mentality, and apply that to other domains, such as weightlifting, right? Or for business too. A lot of people just get focused on one skill or two skills. Like, I just need to do sales, or I just need to do marketing. I mean, when really it's a more holistic approach of many different skills you need to combine together and have a general, understanding of a lot of things, become very effective. And that's just how it is for most things. You need to have a holistic approach of many different things, and it takes time. It's not going to be quick. I think that's why a lot of people want to just pick what's the best. That's why those videos do so well online. What is the best one to learn? What's the best one to do this? What's the best this or that? When in reality, it's usually a combination or an amalgamation of a couple of things that work best from each of the realms and just combining it together. So with that being said, I just challenge you guys, for whatever your main thing is that you're working on, how could you create more of a holistic approach for it? What are some other domains that may be kind of thinking outside the box that are directly adjacent to what you're doing that you may not have considered, but could have some very promising things you could leverage to improve your main thing? So thanks for watching. I appreciate you guys, love you guys, and yeah, take care. Remember, take consistent action on your main thing. Don't stop. Peace.